Hello.
See, he's going to start. Damn it.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the next installment. I think it's our third one of the Starlight Council of Five. I'm Julie Sherwood, your best host,
Hello,
wellness
everybody.
coach. And,
Welcome
hello.
to the
I always
next
forget to
installment.
mute.
I think it's
Sorry about that. Buttons. Anyway, Julie Sherwood, your best hopes wellness coaching, where I do constellational 13 sign, true sidereal astrology, root cause therapy practitioner, solution focused wellness coach, Reiki, mind, body, spirit wellness. And I'm joined here by the rest of my colleagues. Michael.
I am Michael Hardigan of One Sky Astrology, and that's my YouTube channel, my website, One Sky Astro. I do constellational astrology in the evolutionary paradigm. That's the short. I have a podcast, Cosmos and Catonia, with Fran Arnett, and you can check that out on YouTube too, and Patreon, and that's about where you'll find me. Thank you.
Maria.
I'm Maria Schumacher. Vian of Venus-13.com is where you find me. I also have a Patreon page where I put up a daily chart and a blog where I just talk a little bit daily about what's going on in true sky 13 sign astrology. So that's where you find me.
Yay, Ms. Verone. I'm just going in a circle here.
cool. Hi, I'm Verone Bright. My main mission on Earth is to liberate souls, to help them activate their light and live as their true, authentic self. I use True Life Sky Astrology as one of my tools. The best way to find me is on Instagram at Starship Moonbeam, and you can listen to my podcast streaming on all major platforms. It's Star Body Empowerment with Verone Bright.
And rounding it up, River.
Hi there, I'm River of Stars Astrology. I too practice this astronomical astrology, true sky astrology, and all the other names. I have a special focus on the stars. I really love to write about them, as well as the planets. I have a Substack you can follow where I write more lengthy, not overly lengthy, but just more than your typical post on social media, articles that you can get sent to you. So please subscribe to my Substack. And I'm also on Instagram and Facebook at River Stars Astrology. And you can book with me at my Stan store, stan.store/River of Stars Astrology.
Thank you, thank you. We'll put all the links in our video description. So that means you all got to send them all to me if I don't already have them.
Hey, can we do a shameless shout out minute? Verone and River, didn't you two just start a new venture that people might be interested in?
The sign up date, it's already passed. So
Oh.
thank you for shamelessly trying to promote us.
I have no shame when it comes to promoting my friends. So yay.
Thank you.
And how about a little self-promotion there, my dear?
Yeah, how about that?
Do we have a thing? What?
Oh, we do. It's called Cosmic Heart Circle, where we are joined by another colleague who does energy channeling, and we do it commensurate with the full moon, and she brings in the energies without any astrological knowledge whatsoever, literally.
It's
and
true.
Then Maria and I will look at the charts, and it's amazing how it aligns, and we talk about different ways to maneuver through these energies from full moon to full moon. And we're cooking up a little special offering, Cosmic Heart Circle Within. Stay tuned. That's going to be exclusive for only 3 members to join the 3 of us to do some one-on-one work. So,
But for right now, our monthly broadcasts are free. You know, we just talk about the energy matching up with the channeled energy, and it's really quite cool. So, yay.
Awesome. All right, my friends. What? Who's going to start? We've got a lot to talk about. We got eclipses, we got Lions Gates, we've got X things, Nibiru, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Take it away, somebody.
Well, I think I'll just talk. where this kind of came from was that the last time we all met together, we were talking about the Barbo basket. And this kind of stemmed from this. We like planted the seed of this idea of like, far out concepts that maybe aren't that far out. Anything that is super woo woo, I believe can be described and almost, I don't want to say proven, but there can be a language you can speak that's even scientific. Like all of these things we're talking about are layers upon layers upon layers, whether you're talking about neuroscience or biology or astrology or metaphysics or things that people consider way far out and woo woo. I feel like more and more people on this planet are going to start having experiences that they can't explain. I think more and more people on this planet are going to be having what you would call paranormal experiences or glitches in the matrix, or you start to see things that maybe you're like, why am I doing this? Why am I following these rules? Did I make these up? Like, people are going to start having more experiences than just what you would deem normal in like, past understandings of what we call reality. And so I think that the seed for this talk for us together was from the basket, like the Barbo basket was prophesized that it was going to be a shift of the ages, right? Almost like a new civilization was going to be birthed. The collective was going to have this, kind of like a grand awakening, and it's not going to happen all in one day, but those seeds are already planted. And so I think that's kind of where we came, to this conclusion for us to talk about things that are kind of far out and woo woo, but maybe in a way that people can really understand them and digest them in their like daily lives. Like I love to like bring things far out into something that people can work with and utilize and not just stay floating in their heads.
Yeah, the next 2 years involve Uranus sextile to Neptune transiting for everybody, Uranus through Taurus and Neptune through Pisces, which Neptune through Pisces doing anything can make it weird or woo.
To be woo
But
woo. Right.
sextile to Uranus, yeah, in Taurus brings the woo down to earth. It makes it real, makes it strange. And
Mhm.
that's something that for everyone, the next couple years could be years of high strangeness. I'm with you on that, bro.
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
what does it mean to be strange? Like for real, I mean, some of us are already like
Non-normative.
fucking weirdos, right? But like, if you go outside, you could call all of it strange. You can call like
Oh,
a flower blooming strange or
Yeah.
watching the weather roll in strange. I mean, like,
Mhm.
but we have been so programmed to only see reality through this like one lens. And I just think that, with Uranus and Neptune, with everything kind of changing, it's like, you're going to be, people are going to be having these experiences and they're going to need people to be like, hey, actually, yeah, that we've been doing that for decades, and
I
it's okay.
completely agree with that. That yeah, yeah, I'm already seeing it with people. If they know that I've got a little bit of a woo-woo bent, they're like coming out the woodwork going, Maria, can you explain this? Or has this ever happened? So I think it's good that we sort of are like, okay, woo-woo's gonna go up a notch now. And probably a lot of things that in the past we would
Mhm.
even I've noticed myself changing in the conversations that I'm having with Verone and with Julie are just more open to, I would have never said that 5 years ago, but woo just came out my mouth like it was normal. So yeah, yeah. And I'm glad that you brought some astrology into it too, Michael, because that's kind of what we're here for. That, we want to talk about how astrology can mirror, can signal for us what we're about to experience in the collective.
You mean woo-woo's not normal?
Well, not for most people, right?
True,
Yeah.
true.
normalize woo-woo.
Mhm. Mhm. Although it is
So,
interesting to look at somebody's birth chart and kind of kind of see where that, proclivity to woo woo might show up, you know?
mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah,
I think
Aquarius and yeah, please.
You know, what River, where would you look in a birth chart? If you were like, all right, I'm gonna find this person's level of woo-woo tolerance, where would you look in their birth chart?
I mean, Neptune is a big one for me. Um, but I think the combination that we're talking about of the highly unordinary, extraordinary with Uranus, like combined with the just nebulous dreamscape um, of Neptune, like there's a lot of possibilities there. I do think reality as we know it is very much shifting and what that constitutes. So
Well, may I ask a clarifying question there? Because do you feel that reality itself is shifting, or that the way we kind of conceptualize and apprehend and manipulate and all the we do with the way we do reality is evolving? Could you speak to the difference?
um when you're saying that, I mean, I don't really know. I say both.
I don't either. Yeah, maybe both. Uh,
Mhm.
Or on one level, I feel like maybe reality is just showing itself like to us in deeper and deeper layers. Because when I think of woo, I think of like quantum physics, right? And we look at this stuff in the more closer and intensely, and then under more detail we look at it, it disappears, and we're left with this idea that like reality is very strange. It's easily to say these things, but I don't know if we discovered that and our relationship with reality it evolved and deepened, or because reality is probably always just this sort of cosmic dream or something. This, you know.
I think that's a lot of it. And I think that as I mean, Neptune is in Pisces, right? And Saturn has been with it. And so the structures, the layers, the limits of they've been dissolved and dissolved and dissolved. Maybe like you said, reality hasn't changed, but it has revealed itself to the general collective in ways that you had to be really weird to perceive before.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Because if you think about like so much, is we're made of light, right? There's a lot of talking about like returning to light and connecting to your light, even starlight. And light itself doesn't add, it only reveals. If you're in a room and there's a whole bunch of stuff in there and it's dark, okay, well, the stuff is still in there even if you don't see it. But you turn on a lamp and you're like, oh, wow, there's gems, there's jewels, there's clothes I need to pick up, it's all there. So light is just revealing. Same thing with like the planets. Like the planets that we discover, were they not there before, like, or were they just waiting for us to discover them, so I do think that there's no difference between us and our experience. You can't separate yourself from the experience, and so the experience is happening and like moving through us because that is us. And so as our perception shifts, because I do think perception is a huge part of it, like as our perception shifts and as we're able to perceive differently, we're also creating differently, because like only 0.001% of everything is what we call reality. 99.99% is kind of this empty space, right? You can see it as dark matter. You can see it in our DNA, where like 99% of our DNA is dormant. You can see it inside of the like atoms of like the electron clouds. And so really we have this cool opportunity to start saying, hey, like, well, what do we want to create? Instead of like, who are we obeying? Well, what do we want to create? Well, I want to live a life that's awesome. Like, I don't want to live a life that sucks ass. Like, I want to live a life that's awesome. So let's start creating. And when you start playing with the quantum plays back. And if you are present enough, you will see them. Some people call those signs and symbols. To me, I just see that y'all are in a relationship with one another, and so I think that to me is very woo-woo. Like Michael said, it's quantum, and it really is. And I mean, I find that to be very fun. That is where like life gets really fun for me, because I'm like, well, okay, well, like, how do I want to live my day? How do I want to live my life?
Because there's agency there, there's control. Because like I was thinking about the question I asked River, and as we evolve, as our relationship with reality changes and deepens, we have the potential to actually change reality structurally, not what it is, but how it is anyway. And I don't know either, River. I think maybe the whole thing's evolving. I think maybe the world is changing too and doing mutation type things, but I'm not sure. People think time is strange, and time, there's like Mandela effect leads people to various questions about, is time variated? Is time, are we in an infinite multiverse? All these questions arise, and it's mind-boggling. But I'm with you. It can all be explained. But two of you said that. I think it was River and Vern. You said it can all be. It's not. It's not that woo is like. It's not that there's anything truly supernatural. It's just that there's a bell curve, and some things are like way off normative.
Like
So
planets that have those like elongated orbits, like Sedna, like that is like, you don't know anything about her, not because she's unnormative, just because she was like far out of reach, it's like deep, 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 deep into the unconscious, or way, way, way far out into the unknown, or something that you're not able to predict yet, or something that you haven't had like a tangible, like I've seen it in front of my face. I think this is also where like faith comes in too with Jupiter. It's like, if you have faith in something, well, that means you have to believe it exists before you see it, like people who know that they're destined for something grand, it's like, well, you probably didn't see it, you just felt that belief. So it's like believe, or like believing in God, did like some man fly down from the sky and like bonk you on the head with a wand? Probably not, but like you may believe deep in your heart and soul that there's like a higher power. So I think all of it, because what is quantum physics? Like, can you be like, this is quantum physics, I put it in this cup, like you can't, and so I think the unseen forces, you could explain them as woo, you could call it witchcraft, you could call it physics, but it's that which we have yet to be able to see, because we can only see so much of the light spectrum with our current senses.
Isn't the concept of free energy tapping into all that is around, all that potential, which space that is not actually empty? Is that, do others know?
Oh
You know
yeah,
this.
that's woo. That's official woo. Transmitting electricity without wires, that's woo. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all official. That happens, and people don't know how to really like explain it fully, I think.
Interface with it. Well, there's and then there's also the, as things become more revealed to us, then we start to see more and more patterns, right? And more cycles that we didn't know there were before, because we were, on the far end of it. But this is a good segue into Nibiru, guys. I think we've been skirting around the outside. Nobody wants to talk about it, but let's go there. Let's go
Okay.
into Nibiru.
Okay.
What have
Hot topic. Hot topic.
hot
Yeah.
topic?
Take us in, Maria. What's on your mind about
Oh,
Nibiru?
what
What's
is
on
on
your
my
mind?
mind about Nibiru? Well, that's the thing. It's just like, it's one of those things that's just coming up again sort of everywhere, like Nibiru, 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 nib, nib, nib,
Okay.
nib, roo, roo, roo,
Sure, sure,
right?
sure.
And so, okay, there's there's clearly something in the collective consciousness that is aware of this, or trying to figure it out, or just like, what's this Nibiru thing anyway? So what do we know? What do we know about planet Nibiru? And is it the same as planet 9? And is, what's our cutting edge astrology? Like, if are we about to discover another Pluto? Are we about to discover another Uranus, another Neptune, another Pluto?
Oh, I felt that. I have felt like, are we on the verge of
I
discovering another
mean,
planet in our solar system? I have been feeling that really
Yeah,
strongly.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
we're trying to figure that out. So yeah, that's planet 9. Because now, hold on, there's only planets out to Neptune. So there's so if they find another planet, they'll call it planet 9. But there's gravitational anomalies that affect Neptune and Uranus that have scientists looking for something big out there, like not a dwarf planet, not like a trans-Neptunian object like a big asteroid or something, but like a full scale, like 6 times the size of Earth, like an actual straight up planet. And it doesn't make a lot of sense because the Oort clouds out there, and we don't know how that works, but at the same time there are some anomalies that have like some of the best astronomers and scientists in the world theorizing and actively looking for planet 9. But Nibiru was popularized by Zecharia Sitchin, kind of, and I say popularized by like, put into pop culture, like as an idea. Nibiru, this, and his idea, I'm going to paraphrase this. It's been ages since I looked at that material, but I think that he reports that according to him, so there's a high degree of because I said so, bro, here. That according to him, the ancient Sumerian cylinder seals report that the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter was maybe once it was the remnants of a planet that existed that I think was the source of the asteroid belt, the Earth and the Moon, and all of this split and bounced and did the things as a result of an alien planet coming and colliding with it, smashing into it. And this planet it was habited. The planet was populated. Somehow it was flying through space, but they had advanced technology. They had some kind of shield, and I've heard very woo theories that the shield involved monoatomic gold to keep their atmosphere safe while it traveled through deep space. And that was why, according to Zecharia Sitchin, when they arrived on Earth, they combined their own DNA with chimpanzee DNA to basically maybe a couple others in the mix, and created humanity to mine them gold so that they could make monoatomic gold. And these ideas had a lot of currency with like woo thinkers and like people who didn't really have familiarity with Sumerian mythology and cylinder seals, and they really took off. So people associate Nibiru today with like the gods that created humanity. And that's like the short hook that gets everybody going like, whoa, that's real. We have a name for it that happened. And I only want to say in clarification of all that before I pass the talking stick, that there is barely enough like evidentiary like that's an idea, and I want to say we don't have anything more about that than honestly than Zecharia Sitchin's kind of told you so, and he makes a lot of appeals to antiquity, but there's various different opinions on his whole take on that. I'll just leave that there.
I'm gonna it's funny because that's literally what I'm reading right now is about the planet, like the cataclysm, because think about like doomsday, revelations, cataclysm, end of the world. Hasn't that always been happening? Like, yeah, people talking right now, oh, the world's a dumpster fire. I'm always hearing people say that. I'm like, okay, the world doesn't look like a dumpster fire out my window. But like, that's always a thing, right? You look back through like civilization, it feels like there's always like we're always on the precipice of a cataclysm, of like an extinction, of like end of the world, of like the book of Revelations, and like, so is it because we went through a cataclysm and we remember like in our collective human like karma and memory, like I mean deep like DNA memory of like our ancient ancestors, like or even like another timeline, do we remember the cataclysm? Like, is that why we're always on
somewhere
edge? Are we always on the brink of like, are we gonna all explode? Like whether it's like by war, whether it's by like, some, planet or meteor coming and smashing into Earth, because that seems to be like a huge thing. I think people act like, oh, it's just right now, right? Oh, because politics are doing this or because of this or this, now we have this horrible like dumpster fire planet, but when you look back, it seems like people have been doing that for like forever, right? And so
Yeah, you should read Velikovsky. He said the same thing.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, it makes me think like maybe something like this happened. Like maybe there was a great cataclysm and we, in some distant memory, inside of us, we remember it in order to heal it. Think about trauma. Trauma is here for
Yeah.
us to release the patterns and the programs and everything because it does keep a deep, deep collective fear, right? And fear
Yeah.
will keep us from like quote unquote evolving or ascending to the next level. It's not like if something's coming after you, yeah, get out of the way. But if you're constantly in fear, like if we're all vibrating at a frequency of like, oh shit, like, are we all going to
Mm.
explode? That does something. So I just find that to be really interesting. With the Nerubu and the Cataclysm and even the gold piece, which makes me think too, is like, well, if they created us to harvest gold, then they created us to be slaves, right? Like that's kind of like a
Yeah,
slave
that's what
mentality.
Velikovsky, or that's what Zitchin is basically saying, that humanity was created as a slave race.
And there is
Yeah.
some like, I mean, I use that word lightly, like as a white person, but also I do think that a lot of people can feel like they're locked in or trapped in something in our
Mhm.
system for as long back. It's like this idea of like a ruling class and then all the rest of the peasants or whatever. Like, how old is that, right? Talking about like systems and structures, that feels old, right? That feels
Mhm.
very, very, very old. And I think a lot of people feel that. Even people who have high levels of wealth can feel that. So like
Mm.
it's that feeling of feeling like not free, right? So I think it
Mm.
all kind of stems, there's something there. Like, I mean, am I going to have the truth? Like, I can have my theories, but
Yeah, not free, not worthy, or bad. The other thing that sort of goes along with these cataclysm stories is that
oh yeah,
we're responsible. Like there
like
was a
we fucked
terrible
up, we did something bad.
cataclysm,
Yeah.
civilization was destroyed, and it was all our fault
Yeah. If we were just
somehow.
good, then maybe the floods wouldn't have come, right?
Exactly. And so we're still, learning how to be good people, but we're not there yet. And that's why we've got to have angels, and that's why we need a ruling class. And it's like, okay, okay. Anyway,
No, I think
he
that's a
says
really good point.
we're still not talking about the planet, but it's it's like it when we talk about cycles, why could there not be like this mystery planet that's been out there beyond, that was here for a time before a scheduled cataclysm, because anybody who reads the stars is going to read these patterns. It's math, right? You know that the poles are going to shift and weather is going to wobble and orbits are going to orbit, and you might know that, okay, it's going to take 26,000 years, but this planet that is here right now is going to come around again, and they're not going to know about it for umpty squat. So why?
Even if you can't see, it making me think of like Black Moon Lilith, right? Can you
Yes,
see Black Moon Lilith? No, Black Moon Lilith is like a
is
void
not a
point.
thing,
So
except it's
what
a
if
thing.
like Nerubu was something you
Mm.
couldn't tangibly see, which would make it like even more mystical, right? Or even more
Oh, that's even more
interesting,
woo-woo. I love it.
right?
It
It's
is.
like
That's
maybe
extra
isn't
woo.
something we can't actually like chart. You can chart it like you could chart Black Moon Lilith, but um yeah, I mean maybe
There's also the dark moon Lilith that I don't hear a lot of astrologers or people talking about anymore. But when I was in astrology school, I learned, and it's a hypothetical. Some people swear they've seen the dark moon Lilith
Mhm.
um, as an actual object, and then but like there's also many that say that she doesn't exist at all. So but back to Nirabu, I just find it, or Planet X, like that that part about perception, like just that it seems to be more difficult to find this very large in terms of our solar system, big planet, but because it's like close to us, relatively close to us in astronomical, like we can seemingly discover planets in far distances, but we can't see this one that's in our vicinity. So
it's like a metaphor for like human beings. It's like y'all can be like,
Oh,
that's the problem, that's the problem, that's the problem. It ain't me,
yeah,
right? Like you
yeah,
can't
yeah.
see what's really close to you, right? So
Forest for the trees.
maybe it has to do with, especially because if like what Michael's saying with like the DNA, that would make us part of these beings. If like their DNA was
Absolutely,
spliced with what you
absolutely.
said, chimpanzees, then
I
that would
think,
make
yeah.
us. I know there were some like genetic, like they were like master geneticists, like the Anunnaki.
They seem to have been, according to more reports than Zitchin's. These people were really familiar with life and genetics. Yeah,
Well, that would
yeah.
make us part of them
It's true. It's
if
true.
these theories have any truth to them.
It would make us some strange cousins or weird children
That's my
or
cousin.
it yeah, it would. I mean, I really don't want to take any time at all to explore the concept of slavery, but I think it's simply a way of distancing yourself from the reality of someone else's humanity to put them in that position. So I don't, I mean, maybe they might see things that way or might have seen things that way 200,000, 300,000 years ago, however far back this goes. But like, we only have a record. We only have like, I don't know, 11,000, 12,000 years of history. Like, really, that we really have a record of, like, that we can go back to mother cultures and we think, like, oh, China is the oldest culture. The fossil record go back 300,000 years. We've had so many catastrophes of significant proportion. This has all been scrubbed so many times, good, bad, behavior being whatever, like and if you go back 11,000 years to when like Sedna was last around and the Ice Age was last ending, and you take a look at what Plato was saying, he charted the rise of the oceans at the end of the Wisconsin Ice Age. He charted the rise of the oceans and the disappearance of Atlantis, which may have been Avalon, which was a mystical island where they did magics. He charted it to 2,000 years ago. He said it had happened about 9,000, 10,000 years prior. So he put like the whole, so picture this, like the magical world and all our myths of little people, tiny pixies, right? The the pixie were 6 feet tall and painted blue, and they were ferocious. These weren't like, these were like all these culture myths. It's the way they paint the sky. They paint the magical world with little ways of relating to it like this. And they teach us that woo is bad. They teach us that woo is for non-scientific people, and they teach us all this stuff. But there's so much if you go back past that. Let's just call it that Atlantis threshold, call it Plato's threshold. You can read about that in Timaeus, the Timaeus. But it's just a blank. It's an X. And we know it all in our bones. We were there, and it's our ancestral history. And we know every bit of it somewhere in us. And I don't know how many, like, people are like, oh, was there a catastrophe? There is a planetary history of like, the scars are left. They're there. It's like catastrophe after like space is chaotic. Outer
Yes.
space
Yeah.
is violent and chaotic. Yeah. Yeah. Someone take the talking stick because I don't want to rant on that. Outer space is where we live. There's no rules. There's no catastrophe
Well, I
every
mean,
day.
it's almost getting silly to claim that there wasn't a an antediluvian, first it's silly to claim that there wasn't a worldwide flood because there's so much evidence right in your face that says
Sing
that
it.
there was. And it's almost silly to claim that there was never a pole shift because again,
No.
and that at some point Egypt was underwater or
Mhm, mhm.
mostly not a desert, was, beautiful and water laden, because the evidence is just right there. You just have to learn to read. Kind of like, we're learning to read stars again. People are going to have to learn to read rocks again and believe what they see,
Mm.
look up and believe your not lying eyes, that the evidence is right there for us. But we've been told, or we've been handed, and we've somehow internalized a different story, one
Mm.
that doesn't allow for that. The stories that don't allow for growth are the ones that are like, okay, like,
Sus.
seriously? Yeah, super
Yep.
sus, right?
Mm-hmm.
6,000 years. That's all you got?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
all we got. Really?
Yeah.
Like,
Created to
and
mine gold. Like, sure, sure, sure. Like, that's the height of our potential. That's why I put Zitchin in that category of like sus.
yeah, yeah, exactly. We were created as a slave race. Mm, but were we though? Which is not to say that
And
there
even
we
if
could
true,
not
it's
have
our
been
choice.
genetically tampered with, right?
Sure. And
But
even if that was the creative intention behind us, I think it's on us now to like rise to our potential and be slaves or not. Like, I
there it
mean,
is.
I'm
Like,
Spartacus. Like, you can all fuck off. That's how I feel about the gods. Like, no gods, no masters. Like, screw you. Whatever. I'm sorry. Maybe that's hasty and sassy and unwarranted, but I don't
See, I'm
know.
like all God. God loves me. God wants me to win. God's supporting me in every single moment. God is like my ultimate sugar daddy. Thanks, God. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
But also,
Yeah.
I love holding the paradox. Like, I could literally give like 2 fucks if the earth is round or flat or a plane of existence. Like, I love holding the paradox. I love holding inside of myself two things that contradict one another and understanding that I can say yes to both. And that's
Yeah.
how we grow, because when things are really divided and it's like, this is right, this is wrong. That's it. Don't ask any more questions, like that. How are we? That's not going to do anything, right? You have to be like, okay, there's truth in this, and there's probably falsities in this, and there's falsities in this, and there's truth in this. I mean, that's the nature of yin and yang. And so, like, all of it's there. And if you're able to hold it all without trying to maybe choose one or make one right or wrong, now you're able to see like a larger map. You're able to see a bigger, like, tapestry. But like, what has happened is there's been a lot of divide where people are like, you choose this side or you choose this side. This is this is the, and so, yeah, of course, there's not going to be growth that way. There's not going to be growth that way. And you won't be able to see the larger planets like Narubu just flying by. I mean, maybe it's right outside. Maybe like we could look outside and it's there, but we won't be able to see it yet,
Mm.
because we're not ready. Because we won't be able to see things until we're ready.
Julie, you've been awful quiet this whole time. What's
No one can slide a word in edgewise. You all got so much wise stuff to say. The only thing, the drumbeat that just kept coming in my head as as you all were going through these iterations of catastrophes and our evolutionary relationship with agency and autonomy and authority and all that. Pluto in Capricorn. Well, hello, Pluto in Capricorn with Saturn, Capricorn's ruler, in the stars of dissolution and in retrograde. And he's going to be hanging out there in Pisces land for how long now? So
Mhm.
this is no surprise this is all coming up right now. I mean, to me, right? 248 years to go all the way around the zodiac. Well, about every 248 years, we knock on Capricorn's door. So, it begs the question, right? But I love what Varone said about is is it Naribu or Nibiru, Planet X?
Nibiru?
Is is it an it? Right? Is it a structure? Is it something solid?
Right.
Is it something we can see? Going to Verone's comments about maybe we're not ready to, but maybe it isn't something we can see, like Black Moon Lilith. The nodes, these are not visible items in the sky or celestial bodies, if you will, but they bring an energy that is all their own. So maybe that's what this is all about. It's letting go of this human need to see, and it's an energy marker, it's a quantum marker, it's something that we in this iteration of our 3D human bodies aren't quite ready to relate to yet, but we're close. So
when did we as astrologers like discover the nodes of the moon and Lilith, black moon? You know, these points that they don't exist. They're not things in the sky, but when did we discover that they were things that weren't things?
I think Michael's our nodal expert here. Well, I mean,
Michael
I
or
don't
River,
know. It's
yeah.
you
deep. It's
use the
deep history.
I
planetary
mean,
nodes. Yeah.
At least 5th or
Babylon.
3rd century BCE.
well,
Okay.
that's what I was going to
Yeah.
say. The
So,
Sumerians, like, were able to chart eclipses for a very long time. So they, were understanding the geometry of how that worked.
they were plotting the nodes. They kept track of
Yeah.
where the node position was, and they understood what the node was as far back as Babylon. And I think you're right, Sumer. Thanks for
Black
bringing Sumer
Moon,
into it.
Black Moon Lilith, it says 1918 is just a quick Google search.
And just because we happen to mention nodes, perhaps this would be a time to show an eclipse chart.
Yes.
It's a good segue.
Yay.
Because
eclipses are
we've gone
woo-woo.
about 40 minutes without a chart. Can you imagine a bunch of astrologers with no chart?
Us?
Us?
Because eclipses are woo-woo. They were the pinnacle of woo-woo for a very long time.
I want to first show this stellarium image.
Yeah, please.
Because it connects to the woo theme, but this is where the eclipse is, and it's right. See, I am a believer that what we call the Lion's Gate is really a modern phenomenon that I do value in importance, that is like, brings in some of the ancient knowledge, but I do think it's more of a modern phenomenon. And when it happens, the window is generally like the height of it, I believe, is the 8th through the 12th of August. And this is when, in our current paradigm, this is when the sun is entering Leo. So this eclipse is happening on the 12th within that window. And this is what I call the Lion's Gate, because it is within that window. It's also when the sun is astronomically like entering Leo. And this first eclipse, it will be a total solar eclipse in some parts of the world, partial in others, and not visible everywhere, of course. But this is my segue into another woo topic, which is Lion's Gate. And just visually, I think this was really striking of like where the eclipse will be. Mm-hmm. Right. So anyone have any thoughts on just that before I pull up the chart?
Well, I like how you mentioned the fact that Lion's Gate is a window, and it's not just 8/8, right? We get so logged into our Gregorian calendar. It's an energetic marker, like you said, River, when that sun is right in that gate of entering into Leo, in a way that it brings that Leo energy after having moved through the stars of Cancer. Mm-hmm. So we get logged. I mean, numerology has its place. I'm all over the numbers, but at the same time, allowing that expansion of understanding that it's not just, oh, that's the date on the calendar, so by God, that's the date that it is.
Yeah, thank you for that, Julie. Anything that is like tied to a calendar date, I feel is sus, because we've only had this particular calendar for what? Not even 1,000 years. Come on, guys.
What's time?
Yeah, what's time? Yeah, but you tie it to a place in the heavens, now you're talking, because everybody has been looking up for a very, very long time. So yeah, stuff that's tied to a Gregorian calendar date, not so much. 8-8 is, poetic, but tropical astrology has the sun way in Virgo at that time or something dumb thing, right? So it, you know what I mean?
I think it's still Leo.
On
technically, I
Regulus in
think,
Virgo, right?
but Regulus
Yes,
has entered.
Regulus at 1 degree Virgo.
Yeah.
I can't.
I think what the cool thing about this Lionsgate this year, 2026, is that talking about numbers, since we did bring them up, is that the 8, 2026 all reduces down to 8 again. So I think that's really, really cool that there's like another 8 coming in. And the coolest part that I love about Lionsgate is, so, in the Cancer constellation, there's the Beehive cluster where Jupiter is, which has also been known as the manger, like the birth of Christ, right? This kind of understanding, if we're going to talk this lens. And then the Lionsgate, so Jesus, like this is biblical mysteries, Jesus, before he was crucified, walked through the Lionsgate in Jerusalem. And I see this as a time of like, part of you is going to die, so a new part of you can live, right? In order for you to be reborn, your old self, old identity kind of has to like go through this death, and you can literally see it in the stars, in the mythos. And I just find that to be like really cool, because to me, like the Christian mysteries is just as much as like, it's all part of like the mythos and the stories. And I just find that to be like very interesting and cool. Anyways.
And the Christian mysteries are totally derived from sidereal mythology.
Yeah.
If anyone hadn't noticed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I love the Lionsgate because Leo and Cancer are like the sun and moon stars. They're resonant with sun and moon. And so that cusp is like, just like the sun and moon of all the other planets are like bigger and more significant and really primary in their importance. This cusp is like supercharged in a way that no other part of the sky has that power of the Lionsgate. That's what I've seen with it.
I love that point. Yeah, I love that. But I just wanted to reiterate why I think this is I could be wrong, but like I always leave like, I don't know, but why I think this is a modern phenomenon. Like there is there on the internet, there will be like, what is the true Lionsgate? Lionsgate is meaningless. Lionsgate is amazing. Like there's going to be, and it's a fairly polarizing topic, but I just feel like it's really come to the awareness in recent years. And I think why is because this will not always happen where the sun is moving into Leo around this cusp. This cusp, the 8 through the 12. This is not like, this will shift the calendar dates. So that piece about the calendar, but it's like something perhaps like whether it's what we put belief into, which I do think is a lot of our human experience is just what we tune into and what we believe and whatnot. I feel like I have had really charged times within this window, and maybe it's because some belief I'm putting into it, but this cusp to me and it also harkens to the rising heliacal rise of Sirius, which according to your latitude is a variety of dates in the northern hemisphere, but Sirius is rising over most of the northern hemisphere during this time too. So I think there's something to it personally, but I also just think having a solar eclipse right at this cusp with, like Michael said, the sun and the moon in their rulerships, like meeting at this cusp is just really, really cool. And definitely, I always watch eclipses, but this one is just like, wow, it's right there at the Lionsgate. That's notable.
So Michael, could you expand on, because this is your area and I could barely even define what it is, but the Saros cycle and what this eclipse may portend for us with that knowledge?
Oh, I'm actually unable to do that because I haven't been looking forward to this eclipse. You would think I would, because at this time I'm usually making a lunar cycle video, but right now I'm about to have tomorrow they're going to start renovations in the room next. This is the bathroom, and I'm not going to be making a lunar cycle video this month. So for that reason, and the reason that some strange old injuries had been flaring up recently, I was going to take a kind of a pass this month, and I haven't looked at the Saros cycle or the eclipse or anything else. So thank you for your question, but I have no idea.
We'll just let it unfold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you got there, River?
Well, this is the eclipse, like in chart form, and you can see the south node is right there with Regulus, really tight. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Just as far as an eclipse with Regulus, because the node is like, and is why we have eclipses, as we were talking about, like who discovered the nodes first and whatnot. And so this is a south node eclipse, the fiery furnace, the tail of the dragon, releasing but also rebirthing at a solar eclipse. So this is right there at the heart of the lion.
How do we know it's a south node eclipse, or how do we know it's a tail of the dragon? Just for people who don't know, that might be listening.
How do we know? Well, I mean,
There's south node right there.
in terms of the chart, you can see it circled. Yeah, how would you know? How about you?
What does it mean in terms of how the sun and moon are moving toward each other? There's like the south node eclipse, they come from a different direction at each other, right?
Oh, well, the south is like the southern point in the moon's like trajectory with the ecliptic. So the south node is below the ecliptic. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
and it's an orbital relationship, right? It's not an actual celestial body in the sky. You got your Earth, you got your moon going around the Earth, and the Earth going around the sun. And where those orbital paths cross each other at those 2 points is the marking point for that. So for those who don't understand that it's an orbital relationship, it's not actual bodies in the sky.
Yeah. And just because we were on the topic of Nibiru.
Oh yeah.
I was going to ask what that was.
H1, is it highlighting it for y'all?
Yeah. Yeah.
So just right there entering Taurus. That's, but where we mentioned Uranus is transiting. So it's Nibiru's on its way to meet Uranus. Actually, it would be moving slower than Uranus, but has joined the star group of Uranus. So there is they would be talking to each other as they're cohabiting this area, and is also really close to Algol in terms of an alignment. That's that other point here is Algol.
Is it squaring the node, or am I reading that wrong?
No, it looks like it is.
Yep.
It is.
Square the nodes, because Uranus is square the nodes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
Interesting. Since we weren't we didn't know this before. At least I didn't.
Well, yeah. We've got this going on over here. We've got Mars just ingressing into Gemini. So anytime you have a movement of a planet changing, well, then you also have, Mercury's been in Cancer. But anytime you have a planet leaving one set of stars moving into another, that energy can be a little bit fuzzy or difficult, depending on the nature of the transit. Yeah, for sure. How would you guys read Mars conjunct Ceres?
Oh God, I have that in Italy in my chart.
Okay, Charlotte, pray tell.
Yeah.
I literally have Mars conjunct Ceres in my second house in Italy.
Do no harm, but take no shit.
Okay.
Pretty much. I mean, definitely, I feel like nurturing through bluntness. That's part of my game. Very kind, but no fluff talk. I mean, even I went to school for acupuncture, so healing through sharp objects. I think that it could be, I mean, I had like a very abusive mother, so that makes me think of that. But yeah, I think that nurture, like the nurturing part of Ceres and like the harvest and the grain. Like I never understood Ceres to be a nurturer. Like that's not how I understand it because that's not my experience. But with
Mhm.
Mars there, I think like maybe you could get like the thing you need the most, but it may come through like a, I don't even want to say harsher lesson, but like it could be not fluffy or not necessarily like no coddling, right? But like people don't really need to be coddled. Like I don't think that's serving anybody. So I kind of see it as like, yeah, you're getting the nourishment you need, but maybe it might be through like a swift kick in your ass or maybe forcing you to take an action that you have been sitting on over and over again, you know? Like, so I think it could be that.
Well, I forgot we have Chiron just pushed into Aries and then went retrograde. So he's going to be playing that game over that cusp.
Okay, well, that kind of goes with it, you know?
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My
And we've
Chiron's
got,
in Aries. Yeah.
what's that?
Oh, my Chiron's in Aries natally. I'll be up for my 50 years Chiron return in a couple of years.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Go.
exciting to see it enter Aries. That's I've been waiting for Chiron return because I do Chiron work, I do
Yeah.
healing work. I mean, we all do. So
Yeah.
Chiron is a huge, yeah.
I was also going to, and Maria, if you want to, yeah, I was going to look at that, also that quincunx with the Mars series conjunction to Pluto.
Mhm.
That could be a little screechy.
Well, Mars Ceres conjunction to Pluto, and don't we have like Mars and Venus and Neptune T square?
Yep.
I love that. I
Why?
love everything about that.
So
Mars
Um,
and Venus T square.
yep,
to Neptune.
Yeah. Mars T
Mars and
Starting
square is the
Venus.
Neptune.
Venus Neptune opposition.
Yeah.
A Pisces Virgo opposition too, and Mars T squares it exactly from like where the star Betelgeuse and the Silver Gate is.
Hmm.
So it's all quite powerful. And actually, if you look at the sun as ruling the south node, and you see sun is actually conjunct south node for this eclipse, of course. And then you see Uranus is ruling the north node, but you see Uranus T squared the nodes for this eclipse. It could be really challenging to move forward without resolving past issues. That's one thing that tells me this is an eclipse that has the potential to bring up a lot of past stuff that could be a lot. Could be
And
a lot.
it could clear the way for the authentic you to come through. Like you've been holding on to
Oh,
all of this
absolutely.
stuff that you've identified as yourself, and you realize, it was somebody else's description. And Barone, you and I work in that area quite a bit with our clients. It's like, what are you carrying from, all those ancestors that you think is yours?
Well, you can't really move. You can't move
Right.
through. You can't move on with
Yeah.
past shit because it's like you're trying to move on, but you're dragging like 1,000 corpses behind you, right? You're
Yeah.
dragging your
That's
like
it.
bag of stuff.
That's
So
it.
like even if you do try to move on, it's going to either be like you're not going to really move on because you're bringing it all with you. Because like really, what's the past, right? We act like the past is in the past, but it's not because we're recreating the past in the present moment all the time. That's what people call trauma.
Mm.
That's what you call PTSD. All of that. You're just recreating it. So are you actually moving on if you're just recreating past situations again and again and again? And I think with Mars and Ceres is like you will see the exact same patterns from your childhood in different environments, in different situations, through different faces, through different people. Like you don't date your type, you date your
Mm.
pattern, right? And so until you see it and you're
Mm.
like, shit, that's it, right? And
Hmm.
not just see it, but choose differently and embody
For
differently, you're going to keep going again and again and again, right? So that's to me is like clearing the old is like, wow, all of this I've been doing for how long? Like 30 years. Oh, my ancestor did this. Okay,
yes,
I'm choosing differently today and then tomorrow and then the next day and the next day. And no matter how many times that pattern surfaces, I'm going to keep on like turning the wheel out of the ditch, right? Because that's all that you can do.
that's what I think a Venus Mars square that the T-square of Mars, Venus, and Neptune, that's exactly what I think that's going to help with, right? Is just sort of, okay, wait a minute, here's this pattern. Wait a minute, this doesn't feel like mine. I've had this come up over and over and over and over again, and I've been assuming that it was me when what if it's not me? What if it's just something that I've been dragging, here, hold my beer, and I never set it down.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, also too, a lot of times people are like, I'm stuck. I'm stuck. I'm stuck. I'm like, stop saying that. Like, why are you
Yeah.
telling yourself you're
Yeah.
stuck? It's like you're creating quicksand that actually doesn't exist, right? We all have gone through shit, right? We've all gone through trauma. We've all learned things that aren't true about ourselves, but it's going to come up, and maybe in lessons that feel harsh, not to hurt us, but to be like, hey, you have to see this so that you can change. Like,
Yeah.
you have to see it. And like, the more you feel it and the more you're like, I'm gonna freak out. Like, well, maybe you need to have a complete meltdown to bust out of it. Like, some people have to hit that rock bottom or be pushed to like their ultimate edge.
Yeah, I really think that what's asked for here is to actually be able to look at some of the heaviness of the past without re-traumatizing ourselves.
Yeah,
Oh,
And
yeah.
I see
Passing
it as
through it.
being,
Yeah.
yeah, I see it as it wants to move forward to that north node in Aquarius. It wants to move towards that big vision, that big FOMO hot vision. But before we can do that, there are things, Leo, about individual us that might be keeping us from connectivity. And to encompass that and change, right, a la Uranus, it's just going to be challenged by the push me pull me of the T square and the natural. Varun, I was holding a thought. I think you said you thought it might be a Ceres Mars thing, how your patterns play out. I think that your childhood patterns play out in your relationships, no matter where your Mars is or what. I think that's just how life is. But I totally take your word on as an authority on Ceres Mars. But on that point, I think we might all be able to relate, even if we don't have Ceres Mars conjunct that our early experiences, we kind of saw them reflected in the people we were magnetized to. Now, that was my only observation, but you made a great point, which was that we have to be able to kind of work with the material, our wounds. We have to be able to actively work with it and heal without doing ourselves further damage. And that delicate being able to touch something without being absorbed by it, being able to release something without the tar baby effect of like, ooh, I can't let that go. It's just so difficult. These, it's like an inner surgery. And that's where I see Ceres Mars as being able, where Ceres wants to reclaim the inner child and Mars is like cutlery. I see, it's like the surgeon's scalpel or the obsidian blade, like that which removes the impurity. That's how I see Ceres Mars. And I think you're absolutely right. Neither of them neither of them are outer planets. They're both inner planets, but they're the two blunt ones. They aren't like feely. They don't like coddle. They're just like chop. And I just
Yeah.
wanted to thank you for everything you said because we know so little about Ceres, and I want to co-sign from what I've seen. I
Well,
think
even
you're just
the chop, the like inner surgery, that makes me, I agree with that too. And it makes me also go to the Pleiades, the Critica, which isn't Uranus like really still close right there with Pleiades and Alcyone? Is that
Mhm.
true?
Yeah.
Close enough. Yeah.
Still
Mhm.
close enough in
Yeah.
that orb. And so, like, what does it mean to go through like, inner surgery and like cut things out and like remove things from ourselves? Like, I just think that sometimes, like, if you've ever gone through like a really intense, like, one day someone's your friend and the next day they're like, I don't want to have anything to do with you, or you've gone through, or somebody that close to you've died really quickly, it's like that can feel like a cut chop,
Mm.
right? It's like all of a sudden it's like cut out of your life. You didn't have a choice. And now it's gone. And that can feel really intense. And I like what Michael said about like not having to like re-traumatize the self. It's like we don't have to go digging in every little crack and crevice and experience it again and again. We just have to like clear it out because like we don't deserve to go through like the same pains like a million times. So yeah, I think that's really an important part.
Well, that I
And
think is
and I want to bounce back. Oh, I'm so sorry, Maria. I have one last thought. I want to say that Mars series is the ultimate cord cutter. It's the pattern break. It's the pattern breaker because it's
Hmm.
able to do those inner surgeries.
I think that Uranus square the nodes also has a lot to do with our ability right now to not attach. Like, okay, we're going to be going through these things again, only this time we can maintain that Aquarian distance,
Mhm.
right? By virtue of Uranus. Isn't it, Julie, don't you say that, something square the nodes is always a skipped step?
Well, can be, right? And
Yeah,
I've talked about the concept of it as the concept of it being skipped in the previous iteration. It may be the other way around, where you've already
right.
learned it, but you're here to remember it. So, it's an
And
interesting, and I just want to quickly point out that I think what's playing into some of that as well is again that quincunx to Pluto. This is the metabolizing of it all, the as one of our dear friends Rosella says, the composting of it, right? You don't
yeah.
have to take it and own it and carry it with you. You can metabolize and compost it and then let it wash through you. But it can still nourish you along the way through the lesson it brings, right? So,
And some things just need to be like, that shit is not mine and it never was. Get off me and fuck off.
yeah,
Like for real. Like
yeah,
not everything is to be integrated, because you can't
right.
integrate like I am bad, I suck. Like don't integrate that. That's not
No,
you,
Right,
right? And
right,
so
right. Sing
sometimes
it.
you have to like literally like slap the fly off again and again and again and again and again until it becomes second nature, and you're not even like controlling the fly swatter anymore,
yeah,
right? Like at first it may feel hard. You might be like, but eventually you're just like, no, like, because that Uranus energy too is like, I do feel like when I connect to Uranus, it's like, I don't give a fuck. Like I give a lot of fucks because I care, because I have like my heart is here, but also like I'm not doing that shit and I'm not gonna feel bad about it. Like I'm releasing this old crap. It was never mine and it's gone. And I'm just gonna keep, whoever tries to like put it back on me, you're gonna leave too, And so I think that people need to remember that, there are certain things we have to integrate and metabolize, and there's certain things that just need to like flush it down the freaking toilet.
and to go with that, it's interesting because this has come up in some of the work I've done is even little toddlers, when they go, this is going to get a little silly here, but when they go through potty training, they see their bowel movements as a piece of themselves that they have to say goodbye to. They have to grieve it. They think they're losing a piece of their body.
That's
So if we
interesting.
take that metaphor and move it forward into this conversation, yeah, you may want to keep batting that fly off because you don't know that you can grieve and say goodbye to the shit, then you could put it in the ground and bury it, be done with it, right? But there is a grieving process, even with the toxic, ugly, dark, icky things that you don't want to keep with you. It's still part of you, and at one point you can then have that grieving process once you're ready to do the cord cutting, right?
Mhm.
It's not just as simple as that for some people, right?
No, 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 no. It's a process.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I
Well,
wanted,
oh, go ahead,
oh,
River.
I just wanted to, why I drew this kite shape. I just wanted to bring a quick attention that
Yeah.
there are lots of shapes and we've talked about T-squares. Um, as it's an eclipse, the kite is speaking to me as a symbol of metamorphosis um, at an eclipse. And this one is made up of Venus, Pluto, Uranus, and comes up here to Mercury and Jupiter. And then the eclipse is not far from that point up at the kite itself. So I do think, we're talking about challenges with the past coming up and moving forward. And I also think there's this kite supports movement and change and transformation with all. So I just wanted to point that out.
Well,
And
yeah.
River, do you read the eclipse as like or read the kite like you would like a yod, where like it's going in a direction, or, because it's a certain shape, like the bottom to the top to the sides? Do you read it
I
as like,
definitely look at the spine, and there are some schools of thought that this is the focal point, and some schools of thought that this is the focal point. I mean, obviously it's all working together, but I pay attention to the whole spine, especially,
okay,
which
so
is,
Jupiter or Pluto?
yeah, Mercury's reached the point where the Barbo basket was formed. So Mercury reached that place that Jupiter just was, that we talked about, on the 20th of June. Now for this eclipse, Mercury is there completing the basket, with Jupiter not far. But they're also this part of this axis on the spine of the kite, Mercury and Jupiter in Cancer, down to Pluto. And then, of course, with Venus and Uranus connected. So I think I think that's kind of a bright spot looking
And
at
River,
this.
can you tell me too, like in your findings of like what you've actually found throughout your like studies of looking at charts and looking at kites, not just like necessarily what you've read, but what you have discovered, like what the energy of the kite is?
Yes, I did a case study on kites once, and I looked at my own life and others' life to get the data, and I looked at solar return charts where kites had formed. And in my own experience, I had like physically moved locations, moved across the country, done significant life changes when these kites were formed. And what I also noticed was all of the kites in my own life had been connected to Pluto in these. And so this one, again, the axis, Pluto is down here, as part of this spine. So as great shifts, great transformations, connected to partnership and what you appreciate, and
Value.
what you value, and to the non-ordinary, to the technological, to the innovative. There's a lot of potential in the kite.
And just metaphorically, the kite can fly, right? It takes off, it reaches to the stars, if you will. And it's sextiles and trines. Usually those are softer, easier, more harmonious energies if you don't lapse into complacency and laziness, right? I think it's, to Barone's question with the yod versus the kite, I think the yod, it's like, it's pointing at you, you better pay attention to this.
Mm-hmm.
And Maria's our yacht expert, whereas I think the kite is just more, you have an opportunity to fly. How can you use this energy in a way that helps you take that flight?
Okay,
You
I
know,
see. So like a yacht is more like you're gonna do it one way or another, but the
Yep,
the the kite is like you have an opportunity now, you can slack, and your kite can fall to the ground, or you can like let your kite fly. Okay, I see.
that's how I would see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, and this one has Jupiter as that opportunity,
Hmm.
with Mercury, with communication,
From the heart, Cancer.
yeah. So again, I think with Jupiter and opportunity, it can just happen, but I think being aware of the Jupiterian signature is also, you have to reach out and engage with the opportunity.
Right. You can't just lay on the kayak and let it take you down the river, or you're not gonna know where you're
Mhm.
ending up, right?
Yeah, because I agree that it is a more soft aspect, and it could just happen and you wouldn't be aware. So
Like it could pass you by.
it could,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or
but
you could pass it by, right?
I think you can like take hold of the kite. There is a dynamism, there is a power of metamorphosis,
Hmm.
especially at an eclipse.
Well, and especially
Especially
since
with
you,
Pluto involved.
Yep.
Yeah.
right. Yeah, like you pointed out that the Jupiter-Pluto opposition has been the rim of the basket this whole time, right? And so now it's the axis, the spine of the kite. So, here we are being squeezed out of the old reality into a new one. Here we are being birthed through that dynamic tension of uh a Jupiter, Pluto, and now Mercury Pluto opposition. It's really quite cool at an eclipse point, which is also, I'm sorry, but is anybody else like a little bit mind blown that the hypothetical planet we've all been avoiding talking about is also square to the nodes at this eclipse? Is it just me?
I just find it to be perfectly
And
fitting.
the eclipse itself, yeah.
Yeah.
they're-
Yeah.
I just find it to be, it is. The astrology is going to reflect, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is every time I try to get away from astrology, things like this happen. I'm like, okay, touche, astrology. Once again, you're proving yourself to do something. I like to question myself all the time and question the things I believe. I think it's really important. And I do that with astrology. I'm like, I do that with everything. Is it
Is
even
it
a
really
thing?
a thing?
And then
Well-
things like these things happen, and I'm like, yep, here we go. Okay,
Totally a
fine.
thing.
And Mars moving through Gemini ain't gonna let up on that.
Yeah.
No, Mars is,
No.
yeah,
Driven
headed.
curiosity.
Gonna question your shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, my friends, we have gone about 1 hour and 20 minutes.
Ooh.
So I think we're probably at the point where we may lose a few peoples in terms of even the replay. So wonderful stuff. And we mentioned Barbo's Basket a few times, and I know that's been out in the world in all the stuff, but hey, we were the forerunners, I just have to say. So go back on the podcast channel for the Starlight Council of Five. You'll see our previous episode there, and you can watch what we had to say about Barbo's Basket and tie it into the things we talked about today. So let's close this out. Let's go in reverse order. River.
Hey, follow me Instagram, Facebook, River of Stars Astrology, Substack, River of Stars Astrology, and you can find me at stan.store/River of Stars Astrology.
Thank you. Ms. Barone.
Find me on Instagram at Starship Moonbeam, and you can find more of my stuff on my Instagram, and also listen to my podcast, Star Body Empowerment with Verone Bright. I put a new episode out every week, and it's very far out, but also very practical. Okay, thanks.
Just like you. Ms. Maria.
Maria's Daily Charts on Patreon. That's where that's where I am. I also post little excerpts from them on Facebook pages, Radical Astrology, and something else that I can't remember right now
Cosmic
because I'm old.
Reflections.
Cosmic Reflections. And Vian at Venus13.com has more of my esoteric offerings, and that's me.
I'm going to plug Maria. So Maria, are you still doing your sacred writing?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
so I had a sacred writing from we did that, and I will say that I am still feeling the magic of that. I'm still feeling and experiencing the magic. So that is a very, very unique offering that I don't see anybody else doing out there. So if someone is wanting to literally have a trained professional priestess witch of like decades perform a magical like writing and offering, like Maria is your babe.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how you can beat that, Michael, but I'll bet you can.
Oh no, you're all a tough act to follow. And besides, I was gonna mention Radical Astrology on Facebook, but Maria, you mentioned that. My website's oneskyastro.com. If you're interested in my work, you can learn about it there. And I will leave it there instead of trying to, do
Michael
anything
is fucking
kind of-
amazing. He will never say this. Michael is fucking amazing.
We
He is
love
the most
Michael.
Probably would never say that.
undersung,
You are correct.
he's the humblest, most just generous with himself astrologer ever, except for perhaps
Aw.
River, who is also fucking amazing.
We
And
love
these two-
River.
Right,
Oh,
we
you're all
do, and they
amazing.
just
My
don't
goodness.
toot enough, and nobody
Oh
knows about them.
no.
So toot, toot,
No
toot,
tooting. No
toot.
toot. Thank you. Thank you. No,
My
I'm always honored. Yeah.
Michael, when I discovered your YouTube channel
Oh yeah.
years ago, One Sky is your YouTube channel, One Sky
Yeah.
Astrology. I was just getting into this stuff like constellational
Yeah.
astrology, and I just could not wait for your video to come out. It just meant
Fangirl.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
yeah, I was a
Thank you so much.
fangirl.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I just want to say you've been doing at that a long time, and you're can consistent, and your videos come out and they're great. So
Thanks.
check them
Well,
out.
it's right on time that I take a little break, and I miss a month
Okay.
to take a little personal month. But you're also sweet. Thank you. And it's been, I mean, I don't have words for watching this all happen. Around us all, the community, the movement now, like, it's taking different iterations, people developing podcasts, people developing associations, and people developing just ways, avenues for everyone to kind of to touch constellational astrology, to get your finger on the pulse of it and move forward. That's all I ever wanted to do. And it's as meaningful to me that we're all doing it as it as as it is to know that, I sparked or catalyzed someone's journey or helped them on their way as a guide. So dude, I'm just so blessed, so blessed. Pay it forward. That's the mantra. Pay it forward, put it out there on your own and inspire others.
Well,
Thank
we're
you.
all connected because we decided that community was more important, right? Like I really do want to like say
Yeah.
that when
Oh yeah.
Saturn went into Aquarius, is that what happened when Saturn was in Aquarius back in the day? Like we
Yes,
all stayed
It was.
together
Yeah.
because
it
it
was
doesn't
the
matter. Like there's enough room for every single one of us to shine. There is a more than enough for every single one of us to have more than enough. There is enough, like supporting your friends is awesome. Like that's what we're supposed to be doing.
Yes.
Like it's not going to take
Yeah.
away from you to support someone else. And that is like what community is. And I think when we realize that, instead of just being like, I got to do it all myself, like that's how we really do change the world, Like I want every single one of you to have like a thriving, successful business and to shine and everything you want. It's not going to make like me less shiny, like we all can be like the shiny diamonds. And I feel like this is why we're all like still connected together.
Yep.
Yeah, light is not a zero-sum game. Light is infinite in the universe, and we don't have to worry for lack of it. We can actually reflect each other's light,
Yes.
strengthen each other's light, and empower and support, that's real. That is real. And we're all here because we all made, our decisions, and they aligned us. And it's very meaningful to hang
Yeah, I'm
every
start
time.
crying.
It is, man. It's real. It's a real journey. It's a real journey, and we've all been on it. I could cry if I wanted to let myself. I really could.
Yeah.
I so mean it. It's so real to me. But thanks all of you. Thanks every one of you.
And
mm,
and to finish it up, I'm going to segue off of the idea that we're having a constellational conversation, aren't we? Ms. Maria will recognize that. So one more little thing is
Shameless
Maria and I,
plug.
yes, Maria and I have a little group. It's kind of small right now, but we would love for it to grow to create opportunity for those of you out there who maybe I was a little lost in that conversation. I'm not sure what they mean by a kite. What does that all mean? We have twice a month, the second Sunday of every month for 2 hours from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific or 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern, or the second and fourth Tuesday of every month, 4 to 5 Pacific, 7 to 8 Eastern.
Yep.
We have a constellational conversations teaching opportunity where it is literally constellational conversations. We don't do, Astro 101, 102, 103. I mean, we can build that in if you need it. But anything from what's a sun energy to
Uh-huh.
let's talk kites, everything in between. Or I'm a recovering tropical astrologer. We do that too. So please, we would love you to join us for 2 hours of conversational instruction and interaction. Is $33. literally $33.
Yep.
And we
Show
do
up with your questions
and your
and we talk
charts.
about them.
We'll
And
use
that's,
your charts.
yep.
Yep, make it relational, personal, understandable. So we would love, love, love to have you. If you want to know more, you've got my website right here, yourbesthopeswc.com, or hit up Maria at Venus-13.com, or just message us on any of our platforms. We'll get you connected. So thank you, Starlight Council of Five. Any last minute words before I pull us off the starship? Well, thank you to everybody who had the opportunity to join us live. I have a sneaking hunch that many of you will catch us on the replay. Please drop us a message, a note, a question. We'd love to connect with you.